Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. As always, we've got the details on this morning's top local, international and sports news items. So do stay tuned with us right throughout. Let's start off with news here at home. Now, 4 people have died in a fire that broke out at a gas sales outlet located within a fuel station in Kurunegala. Now, 4 others have also been injured in this fire. The fire is said to have broke out at about 11:30 p.m. yesterday. Our Newsfirst correspondent says that the fire broke out at the gas sales outlet located within the IOC fuel station in Kurunegala. 6 fire trucks from the Kurunegala Fire Service Unit were deployed to put out the blaze. Army personnel were also called in to assist in controlling the fire. The Kurunegala-Colombo main road was closed for nearly 2 hours in Behera due to the fire. After more than 2 hours of intense effort, the blaze was brought under control. 4 people had died at the scene. 4 others who sustained injuries are currently receiving treatment at the Kurunegala Teaching Hospital. The Kurunegala-Colombo main road, which was previously temporarily closed, by now has been reopened. Police suspect that the fire may have been caused by an explosion of a gas pipeline. Let's take a look at some of the visuals from this fire. Well, with that, let's move on to more local news for this morning. A proposal to appoint an investigation committee for the potential removal of Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon from office is set to be presented in Parliament today at 5:30 p.m. The Parliament will convene today at 9:30 a.m. under the leadership of Speaker Dr. Jagat Vikramaratne. In addition to this proposal, the second reading debate on the proceedings of Crime Bill will take place this evening. Furthermore, an order under the Code of Criminal Procedure Special Provisions Act is also scheduled to be presented to Parliament for approval. Let's move on to some election-related news now. The National Election Commission has summoned all heads of government institutions today, including those from ministries, departments, corporations and statutory boards, to discuss the potential misuse of state property during the upcoming local government elections. Special attention will be paid to ensuring the fair use of resources during the electoral process. The National Election Commission has announced that ballot papers for postal voting for 114 local government institutions will be dispatched to the Sri Lanka Post today in sealed packets. However, delivery for ballot papers from other institutions has been delayed due to ongoing court proceedings. Now, postal voting for the local government elections is scheduled for the 22nd, 23rd and 24th of April. And voters who are unable to cast their votes on these three given days will be given the opportunity to cast their votes on the 28th and 29th of April instead. Meanwhile, Government printer Pradeep Pushpakumara held a media briefing to provide an update on the printing of ballot papers for the upcoming local government elections. Pushpakumara assured that the printing process is proceeding smoothly despite challenges. He confirmed that holidays for postal workers have been cancelled to ensure the timely completion of this task. He emphasized that printing will continue unless a court order or notification from the National Election Commission requires a change. He also mentioned that if changes are needed, they have the capacity to print ballot papers on time, but it would incur extra costs. On to more local news now. A meeting is scheduled to take place today between members of the committee appointed to study the U.S. reciprocal tariffs and members of the U.S. Trade Representative's Office. Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Professor Anil Jayantha Fernando, stated that the Sri Lankan government's proposal will be presented during this meeting. Meanwhile, regarding the tariffs, a special discussion was held yesterday between Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijay Herat and US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung at the ministry premises. The discussion extensively focused on how to address the tariff policy imposed by the United States on Sri Lanka and how the new US tariff policies could affect Sri Lanka's export sector. The need to review the US tariff policy was emphasized in order to smoothly implement the International Monetary Fund programs that are currently in place and the process of overcoming the severe economic crisis that Sri Lanka faced during the year 2022. Furthermore, discussions were held regarding the trade relations between Sri Lanka and the United States of America. Now, a protest organized by the Frontline Socialist Party was held at the Katubadda Junction last night, demanding that those responsible for the crimes committed at the Batalanda torture chambers be arrested and punished. Duminda Nagamur of the Frontline Socialist Party emphasized the slow progress regarding the Batalanda Commission report. He criticized the current government for its lack of action, despite coming to power promising justice for the past injustices, including deaths, abductions as well as disappearances. Nagamur pointed out that if the previous government failed to address these crimes, it would constitute a violation of its mandate. He called for a punishment of the torturers at the Batalanda torture chambers, including those involved in calling for the abolition of civil rights. He also stressed that Parliament has the power to create laws to address such issues if no existing laws are sufficient for this purpose. With that, let's move on to the weather news forecast for this morning. The Met Department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at most places of the island during the afternoon or night. Showers may occur in the western and northwestern provinces as well as in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning hours. Fairly heavy rainfall of about 75 millimeters are likely at some places in the Sabaragamur, central, Uva, eastern and southern provinces. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the Sabaragamur, central, Uva and eastern provinces during the morning. And as always, the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. And on the apparent northward relative motion of the sun, it is going to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka from the 5th to the 14th of April this year. The Met Department says that the nearest areas of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead today is Nainamadama, Sandalankava, Kundasale, Mahiyangana and Kalmune at about 12 noon. With that, let's move on to news overseas. This is the latest update concerning the reciprocal tariffs that were recently imposed by US President Donald Trump. Now, Trump has threatened China with an additional tariff of 50% on goods imported into the US if it does not withdraw a countermeasure as global markets tumbled for a third day. Speaking at the White House on Monday, the US president said that he was not considering a pause on new tariffs to allow for negotiations with other countries. Trump reiterated his threat of 50% duties on Chinese goods if Beijing did not retract its counter-tariff plans by Tuesday. If imposed, US companies bringing in certain goods from China could face a 104% tax. In a post on his social media platform Truth Social, Trump said he would introduce the extra tariff unless China withdrew its own 34% counter tariff on all American goods, which it announced on Friday. Trump said last Wednesday that he would impose a tax of 34% on Chinese goods as part of his Liberation Day that placed a minimum 10% levy on nearly all of America's trading partners. If he does impose that, US companies would then pay a total rate of 104% on Chinese imports, as it comes on top of 20% tariffs already put in place in March and the 34% announced last week. Let's move on to sports news for this morning. In sports, it's cricket. Royal Challengers Bangalore defeated Mumbai Indians by 12 runs in their IPL T20 cricket encounter. The match took place at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. The hosts, Mumbai Indians, won the toss and elected to field first. Accordingly, Royal Challengers Bangalore began their innings with star batsman Virat Kohli and Phil Salt. Phil Salt was dismissed for 4 runs as the first wicket. Virat Kohli and Devdutt Padikkal built the Royal Challengers Bangalore innings, adding a 91-run partnership for the second wicket. Devdutt Padikkal scored 37 runs. Virat Kohli scored 67 runs, including 2 sixes and 8 fours. Captain Rajat Patidar scored 64 runs. Royal Challengers Bangalore scored 221 runs for the loss of 5 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. Chasing the target, Mumbai Indians lost their top 3 wickets for 79 runs. Captain Hardik Pandya scored 42 runs off 15 balls. Tilak Verma was the highest scorer of the innings with 56 runs. Krunal Pandya took 4 wickets. Consequently, chasing a target of 222 runs, the Mumbai Indians managed to score only 209 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in their 20 overs. Well, with that, we bring to a close this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. Do join us once again tomorrow as well, same time, same place, for more of the very latest from here at home and around the world. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.